at this letter that was really written 30 years ago from our family, which Mike wrote it, to our friends and family on the mainland when we went through Hurricane Iniki. And I was like, whoa. And the Lord started downloading stuff to me while I was reading it for what we're in right now and what we're going to be walking into. So I'm going to read the letter first. Hopefully I can, it's really tiny print, so hopefully I can get through it. It's these old print, and it was small font. Aloha, family and friends. That's how it starts. First, we would like to thank everyone for their support and prayers offered up to us for this most difficult time. We really don't know what we would have done without you. Thanks for your love for us. Now we have lighting and refrigeration through the use of the generator you sent us. We're making good use of the batteries, the food, the money, the cooler that was shipped at a moment's notice. It makes us cry to think about all of you and your concern for us. It makes us long to see all you all the more. Let me share with you our own experience with Hurricane Iniki. It may not get into the LA Times, but it's true all the same. At 5:30 a.m., the warning sirens began to howl to let everybody know that Iniki was on its way, and to prepare the best we knew, to prepare the best we knew how. Being that this was our first hurricane, and we were, California people, so it was definitely our first hurricane, and anywhere near preparation ideas from knowing from friends, and of course my dad, which this is Mike speaking. Living through 5 hurricanes himself, we heard all the stories on how to equip for such a disaster. The funny thing is, I never thought I'd ever use this type of information and found myself trying to remember what all Dad said. Carpenters are always good friends in this situation, for they seem to have enough plywood lying around for you when all the stores have run out. By 9 o'clock, we had all the windows boarded up, our bathtubs were filled, the windows were taped, and all the candles we could scrounge up. Gas the vehicles, 4 gallons of water, enough canned goods to last us a week if need be. It always seemed when you were looking for flashlights, there's none to be found. But we found 2 with weak batteries. Still, we thought we were set for whatever storm might dish out. After all, we are staying in a house that survived a hurricane 10 years prior, which was Hurricane Eva, and there was no damage to this house. 11:30, and we were watching a video trying not to think about the storm that was on its way. By this time, the winds blew hard. We were used to such winds being up on the hill area in Kalaheo. By noon, the power shut down, and all we had was the radio and telephone connection. Yet, you can tell things are getting tense because the kids are quiet and well behaved. 1 o'clock rolls around and the winds are stronger than we have ever seen, and friends still call nervously asking if we're all right. It was now 1:30 and the phone stopped ringing. We are now all together in the bedroom with enough pillows and blankets to shield us from any glass that might blow in. We are now in the thick of it. There, in a sudden gust of wind with enough pressure that you have to hold your ears because they felt like they were going to pop. That pressurized the house and caused 2 French windows to blow out, breaking the door jamb and busting one of the window panes. I ran with my screw gun to secure the door the best I could. It worked. All the while, we could hear as well and feel the sounds of our neighbors' house parts hitting against our walls. Having boarded up the windows, the house seemed dark and eerie because you couldn't see anything outside that was going on. Something hit a window near the skylight, and water and leaves came flying in. Escorted trips to the bathroom seemed to become more frequent at that time. Still, we fixed the things the best we could as they broke and felt pretty secure. All of a sudden, a strong gust hit the house. Another window broke. This time it was from the house parts lifting upward. You could see the house. It was made up of cedar logs, like Lincoln. It looked like a Lincoln log toy, but made out of cedar. Going out of the room again to see if there is anything that I might be able to fix, I found myself yelling at the house, telling it to hold together. Another incredible gust pounded on the house. This time I saw the roof lift. And because I could see outside for about 1.5 inches, there was a gap making its way to the wall. It was then that I realized I did not take time to prepare my heart with the Lord. I was putting all my trust in the abilities of this old house and not putting it where it belonged, in Jesus. Well, it didn't take long for the whole, where am I? Putting my trust in the house. Okay. It didn't take long for the whole family to start praying. And I mean hard, for God to protect us and redeem this situation. There was repentance coming from even the children as we felt that we were preparing possibly to go home. As I prayed, I asked the Lord to send his angels to protect us, and he gave me a vision of 3 angels so tall that they stood on the ground and their waist was just at the roof. They leaned over the house and their arms stretched over the top of the roof, and then I cried. For the Lord heard me, and I was that moment delivered from the pit of despair. Of course, I had a guitar with me, and we all started to worship, not even noticing anything else that might have broken or something that hit the house, because now we had our priorities set where they in the right place. The neighborhood now is much friendlier. The place is everybody is helping each other every day. We believe that without your constant love and prayers for what might have been a lot of worse off. There is a lot of work to do to rebuild Kauai. The great news is everyone in construction trades will have a lot of work. If all goes well, we'll visit you over the holiday season, so don't stop praying. May the Lord Jesus Christ multiply your prayers and blessings to you that you have received. We love you all, and write us so we can hear from you. Mike, Kim, Danelle, Bryce, and Justin. And that week of food, obviously, we were 90 days without power and water, so 1 week was not enough. But what the Lord was starting to speak to me about this was we go through these, what we consider storms. And we do everything to prepare, we try to fix, we try to manipulate, we try to get it to go whatever we do, but we don't necessarily get our heart where it needs to be. So we don't even notice the storm. And after the moment we got our hearts where they needed to be, we didn't hear anything hitting the house anymore. We didn't even barely hear the wind anymore, because we got in a place of worship and we knew that God was taking care of us because angels were holding our roof on. When we got up the next morning, the house on either side of us was gone.
Wow.
This was a vicious storm. Winds got up to 225 miles an hour. So literally the gusts we were hearing were huge gusts. And when we had the eye of the storm, you could get out of the house and it was calm, eerie calm. And, Mike helped the neighbors do some things, and we got some things fixed. And then, of course, we had the whole other side of the storm to go through. It was about 4 hours, I want to say, from front to back. And God started speaking to me about where we're going. It's not going to be easier. The darkness is going to get darker. The evil is going to become more prevalent. It's not going to be easier. And if we're not fixed on Jesus, and if our hearts aren't prepared and we're not ready to be who he's called us to be, we will be trying to fix everything and trying to do everything in our own power to stay above it all. Because the enemy is real, and he's causing havoc. And if you haven't watched anything in the news these days, you can see that people have been turned over to the evil one. Those that have set their hearts on doing evil have been turned over into doing evil. Blatantly evil. And it's, for us that look at it, we're like, no grid. We can't figure out how anybody could be possibly that evil or how this could even exist in our country. The good news is we will see Christians that are focused where they need to be in the midst of the storm, having their hearts prepared, and where they need to be walking will be lighter than they've ever been before. The glory of God will be oozing from us if we position ourselves right. Yep. And in that, the Lord, when I was reading the part where we repented of everything, because we honestly didn't know if we were going home that night. The winds were that strong and it was so violent that we could have been our time to go home to Jesus. We didn't know, but we were prepared for it. I think we're going to start seeing persecution. I think things are going to be shifting. I don't think it's going to be, we've been hearing these words that everything's going to be this way and it's going to be great. This isn't a fear word. This is those of us that are in Christ are going to be amazingly gifted in the things we need to do for the season. But the warning is you have to have your heart prepared in Christ and know that you're walking in him and all the things that he has given you. The storm, what is your storm? You have a storm today. What is your storm? Everybody's got different things going on and our storms look different. Some people, their storm is their home. Some people, it's their family. Some people, it's their work. Some people, it's some tragedy that just came their way. What is your storm? And are you doing everything in your power to fix it, to make it right, to try to fix what you couldn't fix, try to repair things that had already happened? Or are you getting your heart right with Jesus and being set for what's coming? This is really a word of encouragement. You're kind of in a storm, but there's victory happening. But you kept your heart in the right place, and your wife's heart's in the right place. And so the storm doesn't seem that hard, right? Because Jesus is over the storm. And when we got into worshiping and the vision Mike had, we all knew it was true. All of a sudden, the storm wasn't the vicious storm anymore. We knew that Jesus was going to prevail. We believed after that. Yeah. Before that, we were not believing. We were panicking. I mean, Mike was running around with his screw gun, and all of a sudden, when the roof lifted, he looked at his screw gun, and he's like, there was nothing you were going to do. And realistically, our roof should have blew off.
Yes. Yeah, it should have.
Absolutely. If those angels didn't come and hold our roof on, there's no way in the world that roof would have stayed on, because it had already ajarred itself.
A few times. And sucked you up.
And we would have been, it would not have been a fun thing. But, it was interesting because the people behind us were Christians, the house directly behind us, and we were Christians, and we had never talked because they were locals and we were not. We were haoles, for the word for the island. And they came over and brought coffee to us that morning, because we didn't have gas. We had electric everything, and they had propane. And so they brought us coffee. And the neighbor on one of our sides, was asking, why is it you guys' houses are standing? And our neighbor goes, because we love the Lord. And it was hilarious because she had heard the worship come out of our house. We used to have home group there back in the day. So she knew we were Christians, yet they never talked to us until after the hurricane. Mm-hmm. So storms can do some things. They could cause devastation, but they can cause good things. Sometimes things after the storm are better than they were before the storm. Sometimes you have to go through the storm. Like, for instance, your marriage will be closer now than it was before the storm. Sometimes the storms can be devastating, but they can cause very good things to come out of it. You went through a storm, and now you're in this amazing, prosperous business venture. Transformation. Sometimes the storm comes out amazing in the end. And I don't want to go through a hurricane again, really, ever. Ever. Do I ever want to go through another one? And I don't wish a hurricane on anybody. They're very devastating. But for the island, it did cause people to come together like they had never come together before. And there was a unity on cleaning the island up, and we didn't have anybody come to help us like they do on the mainland after hurricane. We were it. And we had to help one another. The restaurants got rid of all their food right away because your refrigeration only lasted so long. So we ate really good for about 3 to 4 days. And then it was MREs or whatever whatever you could find to eat, you know. And I'd shampoo my kids up and stick them out in the rain. And then they, you know. So it's amazing what happens and how creative you can be when God is already overseeing it. Because then the fear is gone and you can see clearly. But if you're in the middle of the storm and you're looking at the storm, you will be caught in fear. And you won't see. And you won't hear. And the reason I think he was telling me this so much is because where we're going in this next season, we cannot walk in fear. Or you will not hear. And you will not see. And you won't know what to do next. So I'm hoping you're hearing me in this, because it's very important not to take fear on, not to let confusion come in when you're in a storm. The only way it works is when you come with Jesus and you get above it. It's so peaceful up there. When you let him control it and you get consumed in his presence, man, it's just peaceful there. And then you know that he's got it. And then you know that something good's going to come out of it. And then you know that it's going to be not only good for you, but it's going to affect other people when you get the victory in your storm. And they're going to watch us go through it. Everybody's going to watch everybody be going through. I mean, there's just so many storms, but they're going to be good for those that stay in Jesus. They'll be really good. You're going to see victory. You're going to see prosperity. You're going to see things come that they shouldn't have come. You're going to see things happen that you're going, how in the heck did that happen? I mean, we were praying, for instance, for our group, because we didn't know. I think we shared it, if we were going to keep a building or have to get rid of one and all this stuff. Someone donated that doesn't go out of the mire, that doesn't really know who we are, on our PayPal. That was, wow, it was a significant amount. Covered everything. Everything.
You recently?
Yeah. So to me, it's one of those things, when you give it to God, he provides, and he'll talk to people you don't even know to take care of things. I mean, it's amazing what's going on right now. I mean, Mike and I have had things happen to us in the last few days that we've never had happen to us. Like somebody bought our groceries in line. Usually we do that, you know? It was a little odd being on the other side of it. It was weird. I'm going, and then, you know.
I'm sure the reaping and sowing, that's
Yeah, you know, and meals being bought. It's been just a bizarre time, but it's because the Lord is in control of what's going on in our life. You know, we have no heater right now, and we're probably on 2 weeks, but you know, people have been great. I had someone bring over a portable heater. We had people donating firewood. I mean, Mike and I are like, I don't know how they did it back then, but in the morning you're getting up and you got to stoke the fire and you got to get it going. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, those people worked hard, splitting all that wood and having their fire stuff for it. I'm so looking forward to my heater being back. It's like, we're spoiled, really, really spoiled, yeah. But anyways, the other thing that the Lord was showing me about this, it's kind of funny because this was 30 years ago. September, actually, it happened on 9/11. Yeah, 9/11, interesting day, because then when it hit, when the Twin Towers got hit on 9/11, Mike and I are like, what? Because we had already gone through the hurricane on 9/11. It was just a weird deal, but this was 30 years ago, and the Lord, it's just, this is nothing compared to what we're going to be seeing. And we have to be prepared for it. And we have to be prepared for it in the way that we get our lives right with God. We have to be prepared for it, that we don't have those trigger things that go off when somebody says something. We can't have offense. We have to get rid of all unforgiveness. We need to be people that are upright, walking in right standing with God, because we'll get duped if we're not. There's going to be false teaching coming. There's going to be false prophecy coming. There's going to be all kinds of things coming. There's going to be miracles that are going to be happening, and they're not God miracles. Aliens are going to be the new thing.
They already are, by the way.
That's where we're...
Those kind or the ones across the border? Those guys.
Outer space aliens?
The one they're going to say that that's where we came from.
Yeah.
There's going to be such a deception that covers the earth. And I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this to be wise. You need to be wise in who you are in God, because it's already happening. And if you don't watch the news, I don't advise you really to watch the news, because it can be quite depressing. But don't be ignorant of what's going on, because you need to have your stance with God in the right place. And you need, the other thing that this letter was the people we were surrounded by. The friends that we had in family that got together like that and got stuff sent to us. There was a community of people, like we're a community of people, that when you go through anything, you got people there. You need to know who your community is in this time. Are you hearing me? Mm-hmm. You need to know who your community is. You need to know who you can trust and who you cannot trust. Seriously, we're going to need that. So, make sure you are connected. Make sure you're not out by yourself, being the Lone Ranger. Stay connected, because we're going to need each other. We're going to need the prayer support. We're going to need, who knows what all we're going to need. But in being connected will keep us stronger. Like, I'm so glad you're back on Monday praying. That was great today, by the way. Enjoyed that. Are you hearing what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes. It's important. I felt like the revelation from this letter wasn't so much, oh my God, this trauma we went through, or hurricane we went through. It was all about the process of trying to make everything right by ourselves and not having our heart right. And the minute we got our heart right, God took care of it. So this side of things, let's get our heart right so we don't have to go through all the trying to fix something, and get tangled up in the mess of the storm. Let's get prepared ahead of time so we don't have to, we're already overcoming the storm. And stay connected. Keep your eyes fixed on Jesus. Don't be a Lone Ranger. Because in our community, we will know when something false is being taught. We'll keep each other safe in that aspect, because there's going to be all kinds of things flying around. People are going to, demons are tricky. The demonic realm is real, and there's a lot of stuff going on. So we need to be in the God realm, sending angels where they need to be, because you know what? In our situation, it was angels that held our roof on. Big angels. Big. We've had angelic encounters before with 10-foot angels, at least. They might have been higher. They were big. All around this backyard we are in. There's all different size angels, and they all do different things, but it's our job to pray and ask for their assistance when things are happening. And they're waiting. They're like, yeah, let me go. We have jobs to do. The host of heaven, is waiting for this time. And you and I are blessed to live in a time like this. God knew when we were coming that we would be able to walk and withstand what we're going to be coming into. You were picked for it. You were picked for it. So were you. All of you.